everybody, it's Laura Cully here from Laura Cully Hypnotherapy. Last month, if you remember, we were talking about how our thoughts and our emotions and our behaviours all are very interlinked, and how one can really affect the other, so that our thoughts can really make us feel down. The way we act, the way that we behave can either bring us up, make us feel good, or it can make us feel quite depressed. So this month I was going to talk about cognitive distortions, which are basically these little thought errors, and we all fall into these little traps, but it's really good to be aware of them. Start to recognise when you're doing these things, because they can really make a difference to how you're feeling and generally how you see the world. So the first one I want to talk about is magnification and minimisation. Quite often what happens is we magnify the negative things that are happening. So it's that sort of building a mountain out of a molehill, and it'll always tend to be the things that are going wrong, and we'll just see it as a complete disaster and everything's awful, and really focusing on the negative things that are happening in our lives, and not necessarily focusing on the good things. And I've talked before about gratitude, and writing a gratitude journal is a really good way of turning this around, because you begin to focus on the good things, even if they're just tiny good things and it seems like everything else is going wrong. All the time you're focusing on the good things and magnifying those, then you start to feel better. But quite often we do it the other way around, so it doesn't make us feel great. So the next one is catastrophizing, and this is something that a lot of people do. I talk to a lot of clients about this, and it's just imagining the worst case scenario. So getting yourself all worked up, going over and over in your mind all the things that are going to go wrong, almost practicing that scenario in your head, getting yourself really worked up, really anxious about something. And as I said before, this can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, because you get yourself so worked up, so anxious, that you don't perform to your best ability. So when you're imagining the future, if you find yourself doing this and imagining that it's all going to go wrong, try some positive visualization. Instead, just close your eyes and start to think about how it would be if everything went really well, and how different do you feel after doing that. So the next one is overgeneralization, and this is quite often how things like phobias start. So imagining maybe that you get bitten by a dog, and from that moment on, all dogs are vicious. All dogs are going to bite you. You start to avoid dogs, and as I say, phobias can quite often start from overgeneralization. And it's not always a conscious thing. So obviously with phobias, quite often this is a subconscious thing that's going on. Your brain does it all for you, trying to protect you. But if you do notice that you are overgeneralizing, and these are things that you're kind of noticing in your thoughts on a day-to-day, just think about, well, okay, that happened once, but does that mean that it's always going to happen that way? Just because something's happened once or twice, does it mean that history will always repeat itself? Could it be different in the future? So if you're basing your future on things that have happened in the past and generalising, really start to become aware of that. Think about how different it could be. And again, a bit of future positive visualisation can really help. How could this be different? So the next one is magical thinking. And this is imagining that if you think about something a certain way, you can change the outcome, thinking that you have this kind of power to change the world, to change the outcome. And of course you don't. That you can change the way you feel, you can change your thoughts, but you're never going to be able to change the way other people treat you or the way other people react to things. People get into these little habits and routines and rituals and think, if I do this, things will be all right. And I actually talk to so many people. People all think that this is something quite unusual, and honestly it is not. People do have their little rituals and things, and you've got used to doing that over years and years, and it's something hypnotherapy can help. But, a lot of us do it in a general way. So just have a think about that. If you find yourself doing something and thinking in that magical way, yes, but if I do this, then things will turn out all right, just have a look at that. Is it real, or is that just a thought you're having? Because that's what a lot of these come down to. They're just thoughts, things that are going around our heads, and they're not actually real. So personalisation, this is another big one, and this is something that a lot of people do. So thinking that, somebody walks by you in the street and they don't acknowledge you. I've done something. It must be because of me. What have I done? What have I said? What's wrong with me? And quite often it could be that they've got a lot on their mind, they just didn't see you, that they're just feeling really down. More often than not, you'll find it has absolutely nothing to do with you. Jumping to conclusions, split this into two different categories. So the first one is mind reading, and that links a little bit with the personalisation that I was just talking about. So imagining that you know what somebody else is thinking. That you know their motivation, you know why they did something or why they said something without really knowing all the facts. So are you trying to mind read other people when you don't really know? Or, a friend doesn't call you back. Oh, it's because they don't like me anymore. Or you don't actually know what else is going on. Just be aware of it. If you start, these thoughts go round and round in your head and you start questioning why, and quite often a lot of these other things jump in. You'll be magnifying that particular scenario, going over and over why it happened. And the other one is fortune telling, which is a little bit like that catastrophizing, isn't it? Just knowing, oh, this is all going to be terrible. This is going to be an absolute nightmare. It's going to be awful. I'm not going to enjoy it at all. And we do that with lots of different things. It could be going to a party you don't particularly want to go to, and you make up your mind before you even go to the party. It's going to be rubbish. I'm not going to know anybody. I'm going to have an awful time. But why? Just go, see how you get on. If you don't like it, go home again. Or do a bit of that positive visualization. Again, imagine it being really good fun. Because quite often we make our own realities and things will turn out as we expect them to turn out. And if you go in with that really kind of closed off mind, thinking that things are going to be awful, well, you're probably not going to have a great time. So, this fortune telling thing, thinking that you know how things are going to work out. Be aware of that if you find yourself falling into that trap. So the next one I want to talk about is emotional reasoning. So emotional reasoning is really basing the things that we're thinking about, the conclusions that we're coming to, basing that on how we're feeling. So if you're not feeling great, if you're feeling a bit stressed or you're feeling a little bit upset about things, are you letting that affect the way you're thinking and the conclusions that you're coming to? So really kind of think about, why am I feeling this way? Why am I dreading this? Or why am I so upset with that person? Would I usually be this upset? Or is it just that I'm not feeling great and someone's made some comment towards me and I've taken it to heart, whereas usually I would just brush it off and not think anything of it? Because the way that we're feeling will really affect our thoughts. Disqualifying the positive. So this is, you may, imagine, for example, that you've been reviewed on something and 100 people have reviewed you, your performance, a product that you've made. 99 of them have said it's absolutely brilliant, and that one person has said, no, I thought it was rubbish. And you are focused on that one person, you're focused on that one bad review, and you've just forgotten about all the 99 people and all the wonderful things they've said. So thinking about the positive things, looking at, this is brilliant, 99 people, and they've said this and they've said that and they've said how wonderful it is, and just forget that one person. There might be something useful in there that you can take to move forward, but if not, don't fret about it. So if you start noticing yourself doing that, just become aware of it. Start looking at your thoughts, noticing the way you're thinking and what you're thinking about and what you're focusing on. Should statements. This is a good one. And the other one is must. Should and must. I should really go and clean the kitchen instead of sitting here painting, or whatever it is, So you take some time out to enjoy yourself, to relax, which we are all entitled to do, by the way. But you don't, because all the time you're doing that, you're reading a book or you're watching the film or you're painting or doing the craft or whatever it is you enjoy doing, the gardening. You're all the time thinking about, oh, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. Well, don't. Either decide that you're going to go and clean the kitchen, do that, and then, do your craft or your gardening or read your book after, or just say, no, I'm not. I'm going to take this time out for myself. I'm going to forget about that. I'm not even going to think about that word should, think about what I should or shouldn't be doing, because whose rules are you following? Who says you should have to go and clean the kitchen before you read your book, or whatever it is, whatever the situation is? You all have your different things that, you feel guilty. I should be doing this. It could be, I should be going to the gym. Well, okay, if you want to go to the gym and you think that would be a good thing to do, fine, go and do it. Make up your mind you're going to do it. If you know you're not, and you're just constantly telling yourself, I should be going to the gym, I should be going for a run, I shouldn't be sitting here watching TV, all you're doing is bringing yourself down. You're not enjoying what you're actually doing. You're not focusing on the moment. You're not, really in that space where you can enjoy what you're doing. So you might as well either just go to the gym or just put it out of your mind and think, well, no, it's not something I'm ever going to do. Don't, should. And the same with must. As soon as you start using the words must and should, you don't want to do it. They're not words that inspire you to do anything. It becomes drudgery and it becomes something that you really don't want to do. So just become aware of the language that you're using, whether you're using it out loud or whether this is just going on in your head, whether you're using these shoulds and these musts, and whose rules are you following? And if it's something that you really know that you should be doing, do it. If not, then don't. Go and do the other thing that you want to do. So just be aware of your language. And the last one is all or nothing thinking. And this is where you start to use those words like everybody, nobody likes me, everybody's always having a go at me. These things that we say to ourselves, and that can really bring you down. So start to question it. Really, when you catch yourself doing that, what, everybody is always putting me down? Nobody ever has a good word to say about me? And you might have to, and again, gratitude journaling is brilliant for this. Really have a think through your day and think, well, when has somebody been quite kind to me today? Or when have I received a compliment today? Nobody likes me. I have no friends. Is that really true? Or are you just telling yourself that because perhaps you've had a bad day and you've fallen out with somebody? So when you start that all or nothing thinking, or it's all going to be this way, it's all going to be that way, that kind of black and white thinking, really step back from your thoughts and look at that. And you can do that with all of these. So if you notice that there's something going round and round in your head and it's really bringing you down, it sometimes helps to actually write it down. Write down what it is you're thinking. Write it down and then start to question it. Is that true? Is that really true? What evidence do I have that this is a true statement, that this is a true thing that is real? Or is it just a thought that I'm having? It's just my imagination. And then start to question it and think, well, what evidence do I have that this is actually not true at all? And in fact, the opposite is true. If you would like to know a bit more about this, I do actually have a written blog about this as well. So you can go and have a look at that. If you subscribe to my email, which you can do on my website, this month I'm actually sending out this list of cognitive distortions, and there is a form that you can actually download so that you can actually start to write down your thoughts and start to question them. There's a list of something called Socratic questions, which are just some really good questions to help you to start questioning your own thoughts and criticising your own thoughts, so that you can think, is this just a thought? Is this just in my imagination, or is this real? And then starting to change those thoughts around. So there's another form where you can then start to actually argue with your own thoughts and start to change them. And you'll find that the more you do this, and all my clients tell me this, that the more they practice doing this and the more they practice writing it down, that actually it becomes second nature, and they start to catch themselves. Oh, I'm catastrophizing here, or oh, hang on a minute, I'm using that word should, so what am I going to do? And they start to actually turn things around. So please do go and sign up if you'd like to access those resources. Sign up to my email, and then I can send you all those things. Okay, so thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you again next month. Have a lovely October. It's a little bit wet and windy out there today at the moment, but let's see how it goes. Have a great October, everybody, and I will speak to you in November. Bye.